Okay, let's dive into this. Picture the Louvre Museum in Paris. Dead of night. The grand halls are completely silent. The tourists are long gone, and the world's most famous paintings are just kind of swallowed up by the shadows. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely thrilling blend of art history, mathematics, and secret societies. We are looking at the core mysteries hidden right inside the massive phenomenon that is the Da Vinci Code. You see, this isn't just your standard murder mystery. It's a deep, immersive exploration into how ancient myths, mathematical constants, and centuries-old historical secrets crash right into the modern world, literally beneath our very feet. So get comfortable, because we have a deeply suspenseful and just incredibly fascinating narrative to trace today.
So, imagine this scenario. The renowned Louvre curator, Jacques Saunière, has just been fatally shot in the stomach by a towering albino assassin. He's totally alone in the dark, and he knows he's got, maybe 15 minutes left to live? Now, let's be real. Most of us in that situation would absolutely panic or desperately try to call for help, right? Well, not Saunière. Instead, he does something completely bizarre. He strips off his clothes and arranges his own body on the parquet floor of the Grand Gallery into a perfect, sprawling circle. It's this macabre, real-life recreation of Leonardo da Vinci's famous Vitruvian Man sketch. He even goes so far as to draw a five-pointed star, a pentacle, on his own chest in his own blood. No way is this just the erratic behavior of a delirious guy. No, this was a desperate, highly calculated message. A final, drastic act to pass on a sacred, ancient secret before it was lost forever.
And you know what? That strange display of his body was literally just the beginning. Right beside him, visible only under a police blacklight, Saunière left this cryptic text scribbled in glowing purple ink. It read, 13-3-22-1185. Oh, draconian devil, oh, lame saint. P.S. Find Robert Langdon. Now, this completely bizarre postscript instantly yanks Harvard symbologist Robert Langdon into a deadly, high-stakes puzzle. It actually makes him the prime suspect for the French police, who are quickly closing in. But that glowing message also draws in a French cryptographer named Sophie Neveu. Here's the kicker. She's actually Saunière's estranged granddaughter. She realizes almost immediately that while the police are busy hunting down the wrong man, this message was meant specifically for her to decode. And man, the clock is ticking.
Now, to the French police, those numbers, 13, 3, 2, 21, they just look like the delirious random scratchings of a dying man. But to Sophie Neveu, they trigger this massive aha moment. She realizes these aren't random at all. If you rearrange them, you get 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. Yep, that is the famous Fibonacci sequence. It's a mathematical progression from the 13th century, where every number is the sum of the two numbers right before it. Saunière scrambled them completely deliberately. It was basically his desperate way of waving a massive flag to catch his cryptographer granddaughter's eye. He was signaling to her that the seemingly senseless weird words accompanying those numbers were actually an anagram just waiting to be cracked.
But here's where it gets even cooler. These numbers aren't just some clever little puzzle, they are actually a gateway to a much grander concept. As Robert Langdon points out in his academic lectures, if you look at the ratio between consecutive Fibonacci numbers, it edges closer and closer to this very specific, almost magical constant, phi, the divine proportion. It's a ratio of roughly 1.618 to 1. For a symbologist like Langdon, phi isn't just a number on a chalkboard. It represents the underlying mathematical order, this divine structure hidden right within the apparent chaos of the natural world. It totally elevates the mystery, you know? It connects these seemingly abstract mathematical symbols to the sweeping historical secrets that Saunière quite literally died to protect.
So where do we actually see this PHI in the real world? Well, honestly, you could start by just looking in the mirror. The natural world obeys this divine proportion with an astonishing, almost eerie consistency. Like, if you divide the number of female bees by the number of male bees in literally any honeybee hive in the world, you get PHI. The ratio of spiral diameters in a nautilus she shell, PHI. The opposing spirals of sunflower seeds or pinecone petals, also PHI. It even dictates the proportions of your own human bone structure. Just like Da Vinci demonstrated with the Vitruvian Man, if you measure the distance from the top of your head down to the floor and divide that by the distance from your belly button to the floor, guess what? You get 1.618. That means you, yes, you watching this, are quite literally a walking tribute to the divine proportion. How wild is that?
Now, this underlying order in nature perfectly mirrors a hidden, fiercely guarded order in human history. You see, Jacques Saunière wasn't just a museum curator.
He was actually the Grand Master of a very real European secret society founded way back in 1099, known as the Priory of Sion. And we're talking about a group whose past members supposedly included absolute legends, great minds like Isaac Newton, Victor Hugo, and of course, Leonardo da Vinci himself. But that begs the question, what ancient truth was the Priory of Sion so desperate to protect? What secret was so earth-shattering that Saunier and his top lieutenants were willing to be murdered for it, making sure it only survived by encoding it deep within Da Vinci's art and Fibonacci's math?
To really understand what they were protecting, we have to look at arguably the greatest legend of all time, the Holy Grail. But buckle up, because the Priory's version of this story completely upends the traditional myth we all grew up with. The narrative most of us are familiar with portrays the Holy Grail as the literal cup of Christ, right? The physical chalice used at the Last Supper. However, according to the alternative history laid out by the eccentric character Sir Lee Teabing, the Priory's secret is radically different. They claim the Grail is not a cup at all. Instead, it's an ingeniously conceived allegory. The chalice is actually a metaphor for the sacred feminine, specifically Mary Magdalene, along with ancient documents that supposedly prove the existence of a royal bloodline of Jesus Christ.
Because they absolutely couldn't speak openly about this sacred feminine, the Priory had to get incredibly creative. They hid their heretical truths right in plain sight. They passed the story on through much more discreet channels that relied heavily on metaphor and symbolism. We're talking in art, in literature, in Disney fairy tales, and incredibly, even in a standard deck of playing cards. The original tarot suits were basically this flashcard catechism for the Hidden Grail story. Swords became modern spades, representing the blade or the masculine. Cups became hearts, representing the chalice or the feminine. Scepters became clubs, standing for the royal line. And pentacles became diamonds, representing the goddess. I mean, it is just a breathtaking example of hiding profound, highly dangerous secrets right under our noses.
Meanwhile, back in the story, the physical hunt is really heating up. Fleeing Paris on a private jet to escape the police, Langdon and Sophie pry open this heavy rosewood box they managed to grab from a high-security Swiss bank. And inside, a totally baffling riddle. It's an Atbash cipher. This is an ancient substitution code where the Hebrew alphabet is essentially folded in half. So the first letter represents the last, the second represents the second to last, and so on. The tension in that cabin is just palpable. As they stare down at the poem, an ancient word of wisdom frees this scroll and helps us keep her scattered family whole. A headstone praised by Templars is the key, and Atbash will reveal the truth to thee.
They have to solve this riddle because it is literally the only way to open the Priory's clef de voûte, also known as the keystone. So what is this keystone? It's an encoded stone cylinder, a cryptex crafted out of interconnecting letter dials, actually built straight from Da Vinci's own sketches. Tucked inside this clever device is a papyrus map, tightly wrapped around a super fragile glass vial of vinegar. Here's the catch. If they try to smash the cryptex open or force the dials, that vial breaks, the vinegar dissolves the papyrus, and boom, the final resting place of the Holy Grail is lost forever. So Langdon and Sophie have to decipher the password to unlock it delicately, all while the dark, zealous forces of Opus Dei are rapidly closing in, desperate to destroy the truth. Talk about pressure. When that cryptex finally clicks open, it yields a pretty startling geographic clue. The final verse reads, "The Holy Grail 'neath ancient Rosslyn waits, the blade and chalice guarding o'er her gates." Now this seems like a super direct clue, leading Langdon and Sophie straight to Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland. This place is often called the Cathedral of Codes, built by the Knights Templar themselves. It really feels like the definitive end of their crazy journey. And for Sophie, it is a profoundly emotional destination. She actually has this tearful reunion there with her long-lost grandmother. She discovers that her family wasn't entirely wiped out in a tragic car crash after all, and that she herself is a living, breathing part of this fiercely protected lineage.
But wait, the story definitely doesn't end in Scotland. Back in Paris, exhausted in his room at the Hotel Ritz after days of just non-stop running, Langdon's mind simply won't stop racing. He keeps thinking about that poem. It said ancient Rosslyn waits, sure, but it also explicitly mentioned the blade and chalice guarding over her gates. Staring up at the ceiling, Langdon has this massive epiphany. They totally misread the final clue. Saunier's verse doesn't literally refer to the physical Rosslyn Chapel up in Scotland. No, Rosslyn refers to the ancient Rose Line. Those clues actually point to a hidden path right back in Paris, leading him directly back to the exact place where the murder happened.
Langdon practically flies out into the cool Paris night, his pace quickening as the pieces finally fully fall into place. He physically traces that ancient rose line, which is a literal line of bronze medallions embedded right into the city streets. He follows them, block by block, all the way directly into the courtyard of the Louvre Museum. He walks over to La Pyramide Inversée, that giant inverted glass pyramid that plunges down into the subterranean complex. Well, this inverted pyramid perfectly represents the V-shaped chalice, the feminine symbol. And right directly beneath it, pointing upward, is a tiny stone pyramid, the masculine blade. It's incredible. The architectural layout of the modern Louvre perfectly resolves Saunière's ancient mystery, the blade and chalice guarding her gates.
Looking down through the glass at that tiny stone pyramid, with the starry Paris sky above him, Langdon finally understands the true meaning of the Grand Master's verse. The Grail isn't sitting in some far-off chapel, it is resting right there, hidden in the secret chambers below the museum. The quest for the Holy Grail is the quest to kneel before the bones of Mary Magdalene, a journey to pray at the feet of the outcast one. It is just this incredibly quiet, powerful moment where established history and ancient myth seamlessly, beautifully collide. It leaves us to rethink the stories we've been told for centuries, and to wonder what other extraordinary codes might just be hiding right in plain sight. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. See you next time.